have a small class on essay writing tips, right? Essay writing, okay? So this one, you will have a competition for Christmas in which you can submit your essays and they will be displayed on the walls, right? Or in the classrooms. So now, essay writing, right? As you all know, an essay consists at most, okay, of around 5 paragraphs, right? So it consists of around 5 to 6 paragraphs, right? But each of these paragraphs contains about 4 to 5 sentences, right? 4 to 5 sentences, right? So you have 4 to 5 sentences in one paragraph, 5 paragraphs, so that makes the essay, right? Now, we'll go over each of these, right? First, we'll look at how to construct a sentence, then we'll look at how to construct a paragraph, then last, we'll see how that fits into the essay, right? So, basically, what do you mean by sentence? A sentence is a group of words which makes complete sense, right? A sentence is a group of words which makes complete sense. Now, when you say a group of words, okay, usually that group of words will fall into the 8 parts of speech, right? They will fall into the 8 parts of speech. As you know, the 8 parts of speech are noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjective, conjunction, preposition, and interjection. You have the 8 parts of speech. So whenever you form a sentence, you have to use one of several or one of these 8 parts of speech, right? Now, English is a language which has what is called a word order. A word order, right? Now, if you take a regional language like Kannada or any of the other regional languages like Malayalam or Tamil and Hindi even, right? You find that you can put the words in any order, right? For example, if I say in English, Rama goes to the forest. Rama goes to the forest. You cannot say the goes forest Rama. You cannot change the word order. But if you take a regional language like Kannada, Rama Kadige Hodanu. Hodanu Kadige Rama. Kadige Hodanu Rama. Kadige Rama Hodanu. You can put any of the 3 words in any of the 3 positions. What are the 3 positions? Beginning, middle and end. Sentence has a beginning, middle and end. Right? So if I say Rama, okay, goes to the forest, right? Here you cannot change the word order, right? Now you see, if you look at it in terms of the 8 parts of speech, what do you find? You find the noun comes first, then you have the verb, then you have the noun, right? So basically what we're saying is, it has a subject plus verb plus object. This is one of the basic sentence structures, subject plus verb plus object. So what is the subject? Subject will usually be a noun or a pronoun. E, goes to the forest. Right? He goes to the forest. This one. No. She's not. Body. Okay? I will tell you some language, special language. Okay. So see. Okay. So you see that, okay, the sentence has this structure. Subject plus verb plus object. Right? Subject can be a noun or a pronoun. For this sentence, Rama goes to the forest, you can say he goes to the forest, noun or pronoun. Plus you have a verb, plus you have a noun or a pronoun. Right? Now, forest is a noun, there is a pronoun. Right? So this is the basic structure of a sentence. Now, these are only a few parts of it. See, 1, 2, 3 parts of speech. You have the other 5. Now, how do you, if you were to say, you have a noun like boy. Now what we're doing is, we're looking at the structure of a typical sentence, which uses all the 8 parts of speech. Right? This is, okay. So this is a typical sentence you're going to form from this word. So you see, now boy is a noun, it's a common noun. I can add an adjective. I can add an adjective like young. Okay? I can add an adjective like young. Right? So then I can say, I can add an article. Right? Okay? Okay. Then I can add a verb. I can add a verb. Right? So then I can add a noun. Then you have an adjective. Then you have an article. Right? So what is the structure become? So this is called a noun phrase. What is a noun phrase? Noun phrase consists of a noun, an adjective and an article. Right? And this also consists of a noun phrase. You have a noun, an adjective and an article. Right? So now you have noun in the beginning, noun at the end. Right? Now I can modify, this is a verb, I can modify it by a adverb. Remember, adverbs end in ly and they modify verbs. Right? So you have a verb and an adverb. Okay? Now we must add what? We must add a preposition. Right? We must add a preposition. Okay? Now what happens? You use most of the 8 parts of speech. So you have adjective, noun, adverb, verb, okay, preposition, then adjective and noun. Right? So you see, this is the basic structure of a sentence. Right? This is the basic structure of a sentence. Now, you see, then if I were to add a conjunction, right? And add a conjunction, then you want to, here comes another sentence, then he goes home. Right? Okay. Now what do you see? You see, you have a sentence with this word, then you have a conjunction, then you have, okay, one more part of the sentence, and it has what? Pronoun, verb and noun. Okay. So you see, okay, now what are we saying? We're saying that English as a language has a strict word order. You cannot change the word order. I told you. We have a sentence like Rama goes to the forest. The word should come as noun, verb and noun. Subject plus verb plus object. You cannot say the goes forest now. It doesn't make sense, right? So when you say this is the, what is, you understood this, right? You have a noun phrase and a noun phrase, and you have a verb phrase and a preposition, right? So basically, okay, you have what? A basic sentence, right? Now this is an assertive sentence. I hope you remember from your high school that you have 4 types of sentences called assertive sentences, interrogative sentences, which are questions. Then you have exclamatory and imperative. You remember those 4 types, right? Now see, this is an assertive sentence because it just asserts or states, makes a statement. A young boy quickly kicks at the round football. It's a statement. It just asserts or declares. It is an assertive or a declarative statement, right? Now, if you, okay, so this is the structure of an assertive sentence. Okay, now you can also view this in terms of the parts of speech. So you have noun, adjective, determiner, adverb, verb, preposition, determiner, adjective, noun, right? So where does adjective come? Usually it modifies a noun. Where does adverb come? It usually modifies a verb, an adjective, verb. Okay, so you know the definitions, right? And we've gone over all the definitions in the class. We've gone over all the definitions in the class, isn't it? So you remember we've gone over prepositions, for example. Then we've gone over adjectives, verb tenses. You remember verb tenses, right? So all the 12 verb tenses, right? Okay. Now, when you say verb, when we say verb, okay, it's not just one word, isn't it? So you know this is a verb in the simple present tense. You can put it into the simple past tense, kick, or you can put it into the present continuous, is kicking, am kicking, are kicking, right? So you remember all that, right? All the 12 tenses. So verb includes all the 12 tenses. Then it also includes this matter of subject-verb agreement. These are not small matters, right? If I say Rama go to the forest, okay, it's different from saying Rama goes to the forest, right? Okay. So this S, that is the criterion in subject-verb agreement, whether the verb takes the S or not, right? If the subject is singular, the verb takes the S, right? So when you say verb, it mostly indicates 3 or 4 characteristics. One is the tense. Tense is one of the 12 tenses. Then you have subject-verb agreement. Then you have the passive voice, right? Then the 4th characteristic is direct indirect speech, right? So when you say verb, it's just like, okay, all those 4 characteristics, isn't it? So for many of you, I've done all these characteristics, right, in the class, right? Now, then, okay, so basically for a sentence, learning English is what? It's about writing a sentence is about what? Writing a sentence is about getting the verbs in the proper form, right? Tense, number, and voice. Tense, number, and voice. Okay. Okay. So then, so this is the structure of an assertive sentence, right? Now we want to form an interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentence is a question, right? So how do you change, okay, a sentence like, I have eaten dinner, okay? This is an assertive sentence. How do you change it into an interrogative sentence? What you should do is, you remember this is called an auxiliary verb. Interchange subject and auxiliary, you have an assertive. Have I eaten dinner? Right? So, okay. So these are, these are the two main types of sentences, right? These are the two main types of sentences. Okay? Okay? So these are the two main types of sentences, assertive and interrogative. Okay? Now, if you can get the idea, if you can get the hang of forming an assertive sentence, if you can get the hang of forming an interrogative sentence, right, much of your sentence construction is over. Much of your sentence construction is over for a, paragraph, right? So, this is the basic. First you have the 8 parts of speech, after which you form 4 or 5 sentences, right? To form the paragraph, right? To form the paragraph, right? Okay. We following. Anyway, those who came in late, don't worry. Your friend is making a recording. I'll forward all the groups, right? Okay. Now, okay. So this is the basic of a sentence structure. Now we have to form 4 to 5 sentences to form a paragraph. Now, how do you form this paragraph? It's not just you take random sentences and put 4 to 5 random sentences and you say you have a paragraph, right? Before we actually write an essay, we have to be sure of the sentence, then we have to be sure of the paragraph structure, right? We have to be sure of the paragraph structure. Now,
5 sentences in each paragraph.
why do sentences?
In each paragraph.
Yeah, that is the general rule. You can have a sentence or more or fewer sentences. It's a general rule. Okay. Minimum should be 3 to 4. Yes. Okay. So it's not a hard and fast rule that a paragraph consists of exactly 4 or exactly 5 sentences. It's not a hard and fast rule. Okay. Okay. Now, okay, now, so remember for the next half an hour, or let's say 15-20 minutes, keep a lid on it. I hope you know what it means. It's an idiom, I know. Keep a lid on it. Okay. Huh? Okay. So this is the basic structure of a sentence. Now we look at the basic structure of a paragraph. For some of you, I have done this, right? So, okay, please remember to maintain decorum. Okay? No small talk for the next 15-20 minutes, please. Okay, because it's recording. Right? So now, what are we looking at? We're looking at the construction of a paragraph, right? We're looking at the construction of a paragraph, right? So as I said, a paragraph is not made up of 4 to 5 random sentences, right? There must be what is called coherence. Coherence. Now the word coherence, the base of the word coherence is cohere. Cohere means they stick together. See, what it means is, if you write 4 or 5 sentences, the second should follow from the first. The second sentence should follow from the first. The third should be related to the second. The fourth should be related to the third. And the fifth should conclude. Right? So what is the first sentence about? Now, you're going to write an essay. What you can basically do is, first, you're given a topic, right? You're given the topic, right? Now, about the topic, you can say a number of things. But these number of things are not in order in your mind. They're not in order in your mind. What you have is a set of random points about the topic. Now you can come across these random points. Either you already have a basic understanding of the topic, you will have a basic understanding of the topic. You can also do some reading. Now reading means you have the whole worldwide, the web resources, all the web resources, including what? Not only print material, not only articles, not only essays on your topic. You can also have videos, you can have audiobooks, you can have music, right? So basically what you have is all the resources of the web to write your essay, right? So about the topic you can access all this information. Now you have a number of points, okay? Point 1, point 2, point 3, 4, 5, 6 main points. Now about point 1 you can have 2 ideas, right? About point 2 you can have a few more ideas. About this you can relate it to other things, right? Other things. So about all these you will continue like this indefinitely, right? So this is called a spider diagram, right? This is called a spider diagram, right? So first you have a topic and you must get all the points of the topic that you can think of, right? Now, this stage is called brainstorming. Now, see, brainstorming doesn't mean your brain goes into a storm, right? There's nothing going on in the mind. All you're doing is you're trying to get as many points about the topic as you can get, right? So you put the points in this random order, right? So random order. Now you have to order it. So you're going to write, okay, you have a number of points, right? And you're going to write 5 paragraphs, right? 5 paragraphs, right? In your essay. Now, the essay has got a topic. Just as the essay has a topic, each of these 5 paragraphs has what is called a topic, right? Topic sentence. It's called the topic sentence, right? So you have 5 topic sentences, right? 5 topic sentences. Now, about the topic sentence you can write 3 to 4, right? What are these 3 to 4? See, the second sentence is what is called a supporting statement. It supports what you say in the topic sentence, right? The third sentence can also be a supporting sentence, right? Second and third can be supporting sentences. The fourth sentence can be an illustration, right? And the fifth sentence will conclude. right, will conclude what we said about the topic, about the paragraph. Do you follow? So this is this is the structure. You see, it's not just you go to write and you start writing. It's not that. See, there's a saying, think before you ink, right? Before you ink with your write, before you write, you have to think about what you're going to write. There were a few great authors, like Sir Bertrand Russell, who never wrote a second draft of their works. You know, he wrote voluminously, Sir Bertrand Russell. He wrote volumes and volumes of, literature on logic, on philosophy, on pacifism, so many subjects. He never wrote a second draft, apparently. What he wrote first, that was the final draft, right? What he wrote first, that was the final. But very few are capable of that, right? So, you must always edit, proofread your writing. So, you see, okay, now, so you have to order your writing according to this general outline, right? Think of a spider diagram, think of the first paragraph, think of the topic sentence of the first paragraph from those points, think of a supporting statement 1, supporting statement 2, illustration, and a conclusion, right? So then you have 5 topic sentences, okay? 5 topic sentences, 5 supporting statements. Now when you say supporting statements, it doesn't necessarily have to support. You can also contrast. You can show the opposite point of view. This is what this author says. However, okay, however is a contrast, isn't it? So you can support or you can contrast. You can agree or disagree, right? So this is the structure of a paragraph. Just as you have a topic sentence and supporting statements and a conclusion in a paragraph, you have what for an essay, you have an introduction, you have a 3 paragraphs which show what you're writing about, and the 5th paragraph which concludes your essay. Right? Now, these are given various names. See, I told you this second sentence follows from the first, third one. That is called coherence. Coherence means it sticks together. Now, one of the ways you can do this, you can use, what you can do is, suppose you have a phrase in the first sentence. Suppose you have a word in the first sentence. In the second sentence, you can expand upon that word or phrase. You can expand upon that, right? So that it supports. And in the third sentence, you can expand upon a phrase or a word in the second sentence. I hope all of you follow it, right? So you can expand upon each, right? So that there is what? Coherence. And then you should have unity. Unity means what? Unity means that one paragraph or one essay should deal with one topic. One paragraph or one essay should deal with one topic. That is unity, coherence, and logic. Logic means, no, there is this relatedness between the sentences, right? This relatedness between the sentences. So these are the 3 characteristics of a good essay, right? So I told you, right? The basic thing you have to get right, okay, is your parts of speech, from which you can go on to the formation of sentences, especially verbs. Then you go on to the, okay, paragraph. Then you go on to the essay, right? So this is a general outline, right? So you can sort of fill in whatever you want, right? So you will have an essay writing competition for your exhibition, right? All of you, if you want, you can contribute, right? And your essays will be displayed prominently, okay, all across, okay?
Have you started the online class?
Oh God, no, tell them I'm going to record. Okay, from there, I'm recording. Go there, please, go there. Okay. So now we'll do what is called brainstorming. Now, topic for the essay, you decide. I will suggest one, right? I will suggest one. How I can make my writing more interesting than that of an AI, right? See, now we're in a competitive world. We're not competing against others. We're not competing against others. We're competing against machines, right? Isn't it? So if you're going to progress in any way, you have to make yourself better than a machine. That means you have to start thinking, okay, how I can surpass the output produced by a machine. Artwork, you know all about artwork, PDFs, essay writing, all these, everything has got an app. So you set the ball rolling, how I can make my writing better than that of an AI. Okay? How will you do it? Is that okay? All of you agree to that? We'll use that as a topic. Okay? And so I'll announce it in the groups. Right? Now, I'll also give a few pointers. Right? See, we have practically the resources of the web on our mobiles, isn't it? At our fingertips. Right? Literally, it's at our fingertips. So if you're going to write an essay, Shreyan, where's Shreyan? Where's Shreyan? Shreyan, yes. So he's going to model, okay? This is the model answers for it. So if you're going to write an essay, right? We're going to use, okay, all the resources of the web, including what? Videos, right? We're going to use videos, we're going to use music, and also audio versions of that essay, right? If you want, okay, so that's basically the general idea, right? So if you're going to write an essay in Microsoft Word, for example, you're going to make it according to 4 or 5 paragraphs, right? But on that Microsoft Word page, you're going to have links, right? For example, I'll tell you what I did, right? In the second PU textbook, I was a lecturer in this PU college. In the second PU textbook, you have an extract from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So what I did was, much after I retired, what I did was, I saw the video, the film version of Romeo and Juliet, and I said, from this time to this time you have stanza 1 of that lesson. From this time to this time you have stanza 2 of that lesson, right? Then then I put up a link. It's on my Facebook page. You have to scroll down really deep, right? So, and then I put up a link which showed the city of Verona. The whole play, Romeo and Juliet, is set in the city of Verona, right? So, you see, you can do a number of things. You can have an audio version, Romeo and Juliet audio version, and you have so many film versions of Romeo and Juliet, right? Okay, it's on my Facebook page. Okay, we want something better to do, I did all that. Okay. Now, you can also, okay, do that. How I can make my writing better than that of an AI, right? Okay. And we'll also give one more subtopic. Cuisine I like. Okay? Okay, the essay you're going to write about is cuisine. I hope you know what cuisine is. Cuisine is the type of food. Okay? There are a number of cuisines available. You have to make that essay interactive. Okay? You want, you can project it. Okay? Share. Cuisine I like, how I can make my writing better than that of an AI. Okay? So that is it about the essay writing tips. I hope all of you, and there's a recording, I will forward it to you. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Aku dah tanya record dah.